Um, Linda, it's so great to have you here. And,
Thank
with
you.
all that's going on, we know it's going to affect things. And last year at this time, we had such a wonderful report on county agriculture.
Oh,
Just, really, it was inspiring to know all uh, how do I say, the progress that our agricultural community had made in terms of gender people who own the
mhm.
farms, and also the type of farms selling locally and so forth. And it was inspiring to know that that part of our economy was just perking, and just
It
seeing.
is. It still is. It
And
definitely still is.
it still is. Well, that's good to know under the current
Yeah.
things that are coming down and whatnot that we're dealing with. And so I'm going to turn this over to you. I should make you co-host for sure. Here, let me get that done. So if you have a picture or two, um, that
Well, and I was trying to find a PowerPoint that I had made, and I cannot seem to find the final one for some reason. So I might just show a draft PowerPoint if you all don't mind. Um, because it kind of make sure I have everything in here that that we are doing. So at least it gives you an idea of, what's going on at the county. And I think, first of all, I want to answer your two questions. One of them was about Doge and about, federal funding. And it is a concern, absolutely. How it's directly affecting our farmers, there has not necessarily been a direct um, effect to our farmers here. But one of the biggest things are grant funding that's gone out. Um, we don't have any farmers that have fallen in this category, but that have equip grants or grants for equipment, water quality type equipment, whether it's, pumps for lagoons or irrigation, things like that, expensive equipment that is reimbursable through the grants that they have through the Conservation District, through NRCS, Farm Service Agency, and those funds got cut. And yet the farmers in many places had spent that money to buy the equipment. So whether that's going to come back and they get fully funded or not, I think that's to be seen. Some have been funded. Another area where there is concern is under farmland preservation, and there is typically on a purchase of development rights program, it takes three pots of funding. You're going to have your state funding, which is RCO funding, and that's going to pay for a portion. You have your county source, which is typically going to be conservation futures, and that's usually just a small piece of it. And then ASIP funding, which is your federal funding. And it takes all three of those to come together typically to do farmland preservation. Right now, there is no ASIP funding to go out. So that definitely stalls that program because we don't have matching funds. Of course, we still find ways to do farmland preservation regardless. And then trying to think of the other question that you had was it general optimism around farmers with ag? Is that what it was?
yeah.
And I think attitudes are good. They're great. We are definitely a resilient bunch. We figure out how to get things done. And for the most part, our farmers do not rely on federal funding. They're not, we're not corn, wheat, soybean that gets, subsidies. That's not the type of farming that we have here. So that's not that much of an effect. When it comes to export, we don't really do a lot of exporting. So the ones that are going to hurt the most are the dairy farms. So the vast majority of the milk from Snohomish County goes up to Linden, where it's turned into dry milk. That dry milk is then exported. So the dry milk industry will definitely be hurt. Milk prices, the federal government sets milk prices in a lot of ways. All of our farms sell to Dairygold, with the exception of just a few. So Dairygold sets the price. The federal government has a dairy price support system that if milk prices go too low, they step in and make up the difference. But our cost of goods here is by far higher than anywhere else in the country. It is expensive to farm here. So land is pricey. To grow things is pricey here. Labor, just look at what our minimum wage is. That's tough. We don't rely a huge amount on immigrant labor for the most part. So our dairies do, but I think they're all pretty good about having, legal workers. So there's not a big impact there. Minimum wage, which, that's set by the state, not set by the Fed, obviously. That has a huge impact. But otherwise, for the most part, our farmers are moving forward. Attitudes are good. We just kind of stick our heads down and farm and move forward.
Hugely dependent on the migrants, the immigrant workers in Snohomish County during harvest time and so forth, or are they kind of independent of that?
We're pretty independent. But we've got some things that I'll talk about here shortly that our how we are counteracting the need for labor in a lot of ways. It's a really exciting program. I may have alluded to it a while back, but now it's moving forward in a very exciting way. So I'll pull up that PowerPoint too, when we're chatting. So let me see here. I'll start with just, like I said, this is a just a draft, but it'll keep me on track to make sure that I don't forget anything when we're talking and give you guys a chance to ask questions. So just excuse the fact that it is a draft, please. And feel free to stop me for questions anytime. Does not, doesn't take me off track or anything else. We'll just skip through some of these. So this, I think I've already shown before. This is the ag census that we get every 5 years. Farmers are required to take it. Most of them do. And what it is shown every 5 years is that Snohomish County, really, we are leading the way in so many ways. We are not losing farmland. We are not losing farmers. We are gaining farmers. Our farmland goes into higher production, if anything. We see numbers change around, and really it's just larger farms going into smaller farms. So you may have a farmer that retires, then you may have him split that up. Maybe it was 40 acres and it gets split into 20, which then makes our number of farms go up one. So same has been true with our number of farmers has increased. So the biggest change, I think, for our office since we talked last is I now have an assistant. So we are no longer an office of one. We're an office of two. So it's a very busy office, though, as you know. But it is really nice to have some help. So when we look at the office and what we do at the office, I really have a very small lens that I look through. And it is how I do everything that I do. And it is economic viability for agriculture. If we look at that with every single thing that we do, every project that I do, everything that comes up, every policy, if I look at it just with economic viability for agriculture, does this keep our farmers farming? Does this harm our farmers? Does this help our farmers make money? So if I look at everything with that lens, it makes decision making very easy. Is it beneficial to the farmers in our county? So it's a very narrow lens, but it definitely is important, and it's helped us to be successful. The nice thing is our farmers are 100% behind us. County government is not the enemy. They turn to us at every turn. I get phone calls from people all the time that, can you help us do this? We want to do this. Can we do this? How do we do this? I'm thinking about doing this. Is this a good thing? And so being that number one resource that they actually turn to county government for that doesn't happen anywhere else. I get asked all the time, when I give presentations, do other counties do this? Do other counties have an ag office like this? And to our knowledge, we are the only one in existence that works the way we do, that does what we do. They just don't really exist. So we have our Centennial Farms program. That's a farm that's been in production 100 years or more by the same family. So we have recognized numerous farms over the year. We don't have one yet for this year, but it does take a while to find one. And it is such an honor to learn about these families, and we recognize them at the Evergreen State Fair at opening ceremonies. And as you walk in the front gates of the fairgrounds, there is a really cool gazebo barn right there. That is where we celebrate the family with photos and story about their history. So this one, please ignore the slide as far as the stuff that's on there. I have another one that we can pull up if you're interested. And this is the advanced technology for agriculture. And we've been working with grant funding from the Department of Ecology, of all places, under the Floodplains by Design grant. We started the Advanced Ag Tech program during COVID with some initial COVID funding. And we've been able to keep it going. So through Floodplains by Design, which is, like I said, Department of Ecology, and it is a farm fish flood type grant. The vast majority of the funding goes toward salmon habitat. We use it to buy easements on farms. If they're flood prone, we'll buy easements on it, direct purchases of farms. And then these farms are all leased directly back to farmers. So we are not taking it out of farmland production, but if it is a farm that's frequently flooded, if it's losing land into the river that we can't stop, we'll use these funds to buy that land, and that farmer or another farmer can continue farming it forever. The second piece of it would be the farmland. Most grants are just paying for easement. They're doing farmland preservation. So they'll buy an easement on the land to keep it in farming in perpetuity, which is fabulous. We do that too. But we've branched out in another way, and that is ag tech. So the first grant, we put $600,000 towards technology. We are supplying at no charge to our farmers at all soil moisture sensors. And I have a separate quick PowerPoint on this. If you guys decide you want to see it, I'm happy to share. Soil moisture sensors can go in any farm in the Snohomish watershed because that's where the grant is. That moisture sensor goes down 2 feet. It measures the amount of moisture in the soil and the temperature of the soil every 4 inches down to 2 feet. So what this does is it tells us, does the plant need water at the roots? Because we don't know that. Usually we kick the soil, we look at the plant. Well, the plant looks like it needs water. Let's put water on it. But we don't really know how much water. And we don't know how far down do we water? Do we water for 2 hours? Do we water for 6 hours? We just kind of go on farmer intuition. We started with the pilot project at Swans Trail Farm with these soil moisture sensors. And because of the information, the data that we were able to gain, they were overwatering. So being able to look at his phone every day and see what the moisture was at the roots, he was able to determine when and how much to water. He had a 75% water savings. He reduced the amount of water he was using by 75%. The fruit was better, the tree was healthier. But there is no way to know that without that moisture sensor. So now we're able to purchase those moisture sensors and put them on every farm in the Snohomish watershed that would like them. They're probably going to need about 4 per farm to be able to really get good accurate readings. So they're going to go in cornfields, they go in pasture, they're going in many, many different places. And these are all at no cost to the farmer. The county buys them, the county owns them. But we're providing the technology to the farmers to make good decisions. The second piece of technology is soil optics. And with this technology, we can map every single inch of a field for micronutrients, macronutrients, pH level, organic matter, all of that information, and so much more that I can't even pronounce or even understand. It uses gamma rays to bounce off the soil and get all of the information that it needs. It is more information than we could gather just doing soil samples, which everybody's great about doing soil samples. It is the best information that we had until this. So typically you'll go through and you'll take various samples throughout a field, and that's how you will make your decision. And typically when it comes to fertilizing a field, you just spread what you think you need by the soil samples throughout the entire field. With this information, we can now apply just what's needed where it's needed. Because you may have a low spot that needs nitrogen, but then you may have another spot that needs something completely different. So now we can do what we call prescriptive nutrient application. So we can apply just the fertilizer that's needed where it's needed. We work currently with Skagit Farmer Supply. They have an agronomy center, and their agronomist is part of all of this to be able to take the information that we gain from the soil optics, and then she puts that into her application spreader that just does what we need. And then we're applying it for the healthiest soil possible. Hopefully I explained that to where it makes sense. It's complicated technology. I'm getting it though. I met with the owner of the company and it was pretty fascinating how it works, but very, very technical. So the soil health aspect of this is huge. The amount of money farmers are saving by not having to go out and apply nutrients, purchase nutrients that they don't need is expensive. It's very expensive, especially with the Canadian tariff, makes it even worse. So saving money for our farmers right there. Healthier soil grows better crops. We all know that. So the soil health aspect of this and being able to not have runoff. If we apply too many nutrients that we don't need, they're not absorbed by the soil. So those nutrients then run off. They're going to run off into creeks, ditches, streams, rivers. And that's what we all want to avoid. So it is a huge win all the way around with the soil optics and the variable rate applicator. So the picture that you see.
Linda,
Yeah.
should I save my questions? I have a
Absolutely.
question. Okay, I have a question. And how did the county find and obtain these? Linda, you must have been just right on the button. I mean, and when you say that there's enough for four for every farm, that's a phenomenal. Where do they store these and hide them out? Is it the Evergreen
Well,
fairgrounds or
we were going to. So this is, well, you know, the office is an office of one. So this is, you know, I'm so fortunate with my job, and they let me be creative. I am so blessed to have the job that I have and work with the people that I do, that they have trust in me, they believe in agriculture, and they want us to succeed. And so it was that first wave of COVID funding and being able to work with some phenomenal people. And we put out an RFP, and Innovate Ag is the company that we hired as our contractor. And I worked very, very closely with him to find the newest technology. And, you know, he makes me sit on my hands because I want this and I want that. And that's so cool. And we could do this and we could do that. And, you know, he's like, he has to temper me most of the time, but he is a phenomenal partner, and he goes all over the world. On, he's a former Microsoft person, and he literally goes all over the world learning about new technologies. He is connected with all of the new companies that are coming into play. And we want to be that test ground where people can bring their new toys to play. How do they work in the real world? And so being able to deploy this at a larger scale and real life it's pretty cool. There is no place else where the government is actually purchasing the equipment for the farmers at no cost. We obviously own the equipment. It is an asset of Snohomish County. So we've, through Innovate Ag, they have hired a local farm kid. I think he's probably 20 now, but I can still call him a kid. And he is the one that is our local technician. We've trained him all up on how to use this stuff. He knows how to install it, and he's working with all of our farmers in the Snohomish watershed. This grant is specific to the Snohomish watershed. So we can't go up into the Stille watershed and do anything. That is not our grant. They have a floodplains by design grant as well. But this is only written into the Snohomish one. The Snohomish grant, the Snohomish watershed is a Snohomish County grant. We applied for it. The Stillaguamish grant is the Stillaguamish tribe, so we are not included in that one. We might be in the future so that we can take some of this technology north, but right now, this is the Snohomish watershed. So this Snohomish County did a buyout on a farm on the river, on the Skykomish River, and they had barns and stuff on that property, and we are storing all of our equipment there. So this moisture sensors go out in the spring. That we're putting them out right now, and then in the fall they will all come out of the ground, be stored, and then go back in the spring. So we do have enough for all of our farms in the area. We have enough funding that if we need to purchase more, we can. So the farmers with those two, everything is on their phone. They can look at their phone and make all their decisions right there.
How big are these? They look as though they might be robotic.
That's a different thing right there. So the soil
Okay.
moisture sensor, you know, it looks like a piece of PVC pipe that goes in the ground. And it goes down 2 feet, and then it's got another arm that stands straight up that has a solar panel on it.
So storage really is a small part of it, although we're talking
Yes.
probably about 4,500 of them if each. They're 12,000 farms or?
No, well, we're only doing the Snohomish watershed.
Oh, got it. Thank you.
So we'll probably do 15 to 20 farms this year. So it's still a fair number of moisture sensors, but there's plenty of space at this particular farm to do it. We've been able to carve off some space.
Carol is clapping her hands for you, Linda. This is
Thank
it's an
you.
amazing thing. It just really, thank you for sharing this. It truly is.
But Joan, there's more.
Okay,
There's
okay,
more.
I'm ready.
So the picture that you see off to the left there, that is called the burrow. And that's the one that we just purchased in this picture right here. And it is robotic. So it can work 3 ways. We can put GPS coordinates into it and tell it where to go and what to do. We can handle it remotely, remote control, and, turn left, go right, all those things, go straight. Or we can have it in follow me mode. In follow me mode, if I'm in front of it and I'm walking, it will follow me wherever I go. I stop, it stops. I turn right, it turns right. It'll follow me precisely wherever I go. It's very fun to play with. So this burrow right here can hold 1,000 pounds and it can tow 5,000 pounds. So a good example of where we have used this already is at Stalker Farms in Snohomish. They have their Christmas tree farm there. So they put hundreds of pounds of fertilizer on it. And when they fertilize those Christmas trees, they use a coffee can and they spread the fertilizer around the base of each tree. It's very labor intensive. So now think of one person with the wheelbarrow going back and forth to get fertilizer and the backbreaking work of 100 pounds probably in this wheelbarrow following the people, or push it forward, stop, get your fertilizer. With the burrow, we were able to put the fertilizer on it, put it in follow me mode. We had 2 people, one on each side, and as they walked, they just reached in, grabbed their fertilizer, put it around the tree, went to the next one, put it around the tree. The amount of labor savings was incredible by using the burrow. The back breaking, it's easy. You put it on there and go. If they needed to, they could remotely send the burrow back to the barn and have somebody else reload it and remotely send it back. It has those capabilities. What we'll be using it for next is we will attach the soil optics to it, and we will not remotely, but robotically soil map the entire field. So we flew a drone up, got the GPS coordinates of the field. So we'll be able to now deploy the burrow with the soil optics, and it will go through and it will map that entire field for us. And the soil optics does 40-inch swaths. So huge labor savings there, being able to get that information and being able to use the burrow to do it. We have coming a mower that will attach to the burrow. We can just put in those coordinates and the burrow can go out and do all the mowing for us. I know, right, Joan?
I'm sorry. This
We're just tip of the
I
iceberg
mean,
with
I'm
this.
stepping into the future. I really feel that way, Linda. It's amazing.
Yeah, and this is technology that our farmers would not go out and buy because number one, they don't know it's here. Number two, they're not going to buy something that they don't know. They're not going to spend the amount of money to go buy this, not knowing if it's going to be worthwhile for them. So in the future, they can say, hey, these soil moisture sensors, these give me really good information. I think I want to add more. And then they see the value for them to go and purchase more on their own.
Well, and the
Same thing.
feedback that they're able to give you is really beneficial as well, because that can be shared and not just explained back to the county, but to other farmers. So where is this implemented elsewhere? Is this you mentioned the innovative ag innovation or
Innovate Ag. It's a
Innovate Ag.
Yeah.
They go globally. Is this something they're pulling from around the world, or is this something that's actually within the United States somewhere? I'm just
For the equipment itself.
yeah, and the process basically.
Well, once again, this doesn't exist anywhere else. This is just, well, why don't we do this? As far as doing it with the farmers in this method. The burrow is commercially available. It's still a new product. But they've built enough that we're comfortable with it, and Innovate Ag has been using one for a while. We have a second one coming. That's the original burrow, which is smaller. But there is no government entity that's pulled it together like this. There's nowhere that it is available at no cost to farmers. The head of the Western Growers Association, I met with him last week. He's from down in California. And that's a very large association, mostly California farmers. And he had the hardest time wrapping his head around the fact that our farmers don't pay for this. He says, well, is there a membership fee? I'm like, no. And he's like, well, so your members, how do they pay for this? And it's like, they don't. And he just had the hardest time trying to wrap his head around the fact that we are doing this for our farmers. We are helping our farmers to be economically viable. We are helping farmers that don't have the labor that they need. So this is, if we look at our lens again, economic viability for agriculture. How do we help our farmers?
So I recognize how unusual this is, and I'm very appreciative to be able to benefit in some way from this. Regardless, I may directly or indirectly, but I know I'm benefiting. How is this going to be shared across the state? For instance, on the other side of the mountains, or in other watershed areas in particular, where we rely on watershed for water. That this could be developed and used.
Well, hopefully we're setting an example. Hopefully we're showing that, number one, the products work, which we've got large apple orchards over there that are already implementing these things because they can afford to. They're huge. They can afford to buy this equipment. They are on top of everything. I was down in California and watched, it was a prototype, but an autonomous apple picker. It was phenomenal. They're already doing some of this stuff, but
And
we have the farms here that can do it.
yeah, I noticed how they're growing the trees differently as well, so that they can more efficiently machine pick them.
Yep.
But that's good to know. And I'm wholeheartedly and fully supportive of small farms as well. But I'm thinking about, how to spread it to more small farmers. You mentioned it's in Snohomish watershed. There's, others that can benefit. So sounds like we're in the beginning of the communications, and you've got a great presentation, even in draft here.
I have a better one on the ag tech. I can even pull up a video for you to see it.
Wow.
There's one that I saw. Keith Stalker sent it to me with his 6-year-old grandson walking, and it was following him. It was pretty cute. But it's it's just the tip. There's so many more technologies, and for the floodplains by design grant that goes into play that we received, we have $1 million in there for agriculture, for ag technology, that will allow us to continue to bring in the latest technology. What we're working on right now is an autonomous weeder. So there's two different, I know, right? Because we all hate to
They
weed.
make a small version of that.
And that's the one I have been pushing for. You get your memories on Facebook, and one of my memories that popped up, and a lot of you have been to my farm, it is a picture where I had just rototilled and planted my produce area, which this particular area was about 1.5 acres. It's where my sunflowers are now. No, it's probably 2 acres when I look at the picture. And the comments in there, I said, I just planted my last produce field into pasture. That's when I was done. And the whole time I hate weeding. Trying to weed 2 acres of produce and harvest and deliver and plant. And it's like the one thing I have pushed for the most is we need an autonomous weeder. So
I
we are,
used to weed trees. That was my first job, my first paid
oh,
job, I should say, weeding Christmas trees, basically.
our backs will never be the same. It, there's a couple different ones. There's a number of them out there on the market. I had one in France that I really, really, really wanted. And just we had gone down to a called FIRA. I forget what it stands for. It's an egg technology, the new technology that's coming out. It's a world tour, a world conference. And it just happened to be in California. So I went down last year with a coworker and with Innovate Ag. And I mean, he was really telling me no a lot because there was so many cool things. And it's like, we have the money to buy it. Let's get it on the farm. But he's a lot more conservative than I am, which is good. It's good to have, I'm a kid in a candy store. So there are numerous weeders on the market that are coming on the market. So there's still some that are in prototype, and there's some that just haven't been used enough. So what we're working on is, give us some to try and use, and let's try it out in the real world. There are various types of autonomous weeders. All of them can tell the difference between a vegetable plant and a weed. And the most amazing example that they showed was a field with onions in it. And the onions, when an onion start is this big, does it not look like a piece of grass? It looks like grass. They're the most difficult things. And then they had let grass come in around it. That weeder, using the laser eye, could tell what was an onion and what was a piece of grass. That was amazing to me. That particular one used a laser to zap the weeds all the way around that onion. There are other ones that use chemical, and they will drop chemical on the individual weed plant as it goes along. That technology just blows my mind that it can do that. So there we are with labor, right? It is the hardest thing ever to find weeders. If we can send a machine out that can do that weeding for us, that's huge. There's one that we're looking at right now that attaches to the burrow. So we can send that burrow out and it can do the weeding for us. Isn't it cool? I get so excited about that. That's what I want.
We may
It's
not get beyond this part of your PowerPoint, Linda. This is pretty phenomenal.
It's very
Please,
cool.
please carry on because it's just absolutely amazing what you're bringing here.
Well, and we're just starting. There's so many more things that we can deploy out here. And the companies know that we are cutting edge and that we want to try these things. And so having those connections, and those really come directly from Innovate Ag and Steve Mantle. He has been involved in this and at the forefront of ag technology for a number of years. And he's the one that brings the stuff, brings the ideas when it comes to equipment, and has to put up with me. Probably the biggest thing is he has to put up with me and keep me, under control.
Well, this is super exciting. I love this.
Thank you. So I'll give you an update on the Snohomish County Food and Farming Center. I think, is everybody familiar with it already from me talking about it before?
Yes.
Okay, good. So we have made progress. We continue to make progress. Our current funding is we have 15 million in hand. We still need to find more. Because we're building this on an old landfill, it's not cheap to be there, but we are committed to it being there for so many different reasons. It's a good use of the land. It's a good reclamation of that land. It is right at a transit center. It's easy for farmers to get to coming down I-5, coming across Highway 2. cut right across there at Cathcart. There are so many positives to building here that we'll figure it out. We'll make it happen. So we have, trying to think last year when we talked where I was. So we have done RFQ, RFP for design build team. That took a long time, but it's the process. It's the process to go through to pick the right team. They are on board. We've spent the rest of the time on our validation phase, and we really do have a fantastic team. The validation phase is where we go through and we look at so many different things. What's the right size for each component to be? What is the equipment that should be in each component? For the market, how many market stalls do we need to have to be economically viable? How do we build these buildings? What do we build them out of? Because we have a commitment in Snohomish County to be LEED certified. This one, we've already done all the work to be salmon safe certified, so we'll keep that going as we go along. Using products that are made in the United States. So all of the things that are that the county has committed to are also a part of this project. So this is our original design that you can see here. In our latest iteration, which we just came out with this week, it is going to be smaller than this. We do have to work within a budget and it is going to be expensive. So how do we right size this? And that's really what we're looking at. Now, how do we look at the materials? Do we need this type of material or can we do this? It is coming together very, very well. We've got the traffic studies are done. The civil work, what do we need to do to be able to build here? What are the soils underneath here? How much do we need to preload because there's a liner there? And it turns out that the pool was over landfill. So what do we need to do to be able to cover that part of the landfill? Really going through the park and saying, where is the best spot on the park? And going through that whole process of, well, these are the soils here, and really doing core samples and saying, well, this is what we thought here, and this is here, and making sure that all of the choices that we make are the right choices. And so we have done that, we just finalized that plan. So I think it gets signed on the 27th, that is complete and done. And then we move into phase one. Phase one, we start the permitting process. Permitting will take about a year. And then after that year, we begin construction. So that gives me some more time to look for funding. I think one of the things we're going to be looking at right now is also philanthropic dollars, public-private partnerships. As a reminder, we will not operate the Food and Farming Center. These will be turnkey leases that will go out. We'll be strict on who comes in because our number one goal is serving the agriculture community. And it's not going to be somebody that comes in that processes that does not have a goal of processing local agricultural product. Commercial kitchen, same thing. The number one goal is value-added production for our farmers. Commercial kitchens are open 24/7. We are not going to have enough farmers to keep it going like that to begin with. But this is also for entrepreneurs. This is for food trucks. This is for, somebody that's outgrown their cottage industry at their home. So this will have, I've designed the commercial kitchen differently than what a commercial kitchen usually is. In my mind, I probably overthink things too much. Most commercial kitchens, you come in and you rent the kitchen. That seems like a waste to me because you don't always need the whole kitchen. So this one, we've divided it up into stations, and you come in and you rent the station that you need. If you're a baker, you would rent the space that's got the proofing oven and the, all of the equipment that you need to be a baker. But if you're making soup, you're over here where there's a soup kettle and there's the equipment that you need so that it's cheaper for you to rent that commercial kitchen. But then the income from that commercial kitchen is higher and we can serve more people.
Carol had
that's,
her hand up. Did you have a quick question, Carol?
yeah, I'm
Not
sorry.
really, it's not really a question, it's an observation about your entire presentation and the activity of your organization. It's supporting farmers is needed. The overall vision basically to create a community-based supportive situation. I mean, everybody will benefit from this at the end goal. People are going to be shopping and making and doing. But it starts with supporting the farmers as needed. You're creating capacity by making them viable and by helping them be productive. You're developing basically a systemic view that I'm really energized about, just creating that life cycle. The location of where this is, I'm curious how it's going to impact the, what is that center called, Joan, there at McCollum Park?
Stream Center, the Stream
Yep.
Center.
Yep.
Yep,
Are
and
you partnered with them on this? I think they're
absolutely.
represented on the county committee, so.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, Tom's fully in the know of everything that we're doing. And
Cool.
yep, it's all wrapped in. Definitely.
And while
Thank
we're
you, Carol.
passing
You
around
make me
compliments, Julie had an early one where she commented about how wonderful it is to see all of this coming together. I'll see if I can find her exact words, but uh, it's amazing technology found in government works when smart people work together there, you know. And it's just all of us, I think, are feeling that sense of wow, you know, when you're being duly impressed by some people that are working hard to make things happen that are positive. It's just wonderful.
well, and it's, thank you. It's so, I think if we look at the county government side, the partnership between agriculture, my office, and the different departments within the county is pretty phenomenal. You know, surface water management, they're the ones with the grant. And they're the ones that, you know, welcomed me in and said, you know what, we need, this grant is awesome. We need to have an ag piece. What do you want to do?
Is that Wendy Beeman? I know she does a lot for parks. So
It is no, it's actual surface water management. It's their floodplains group. And you know, it's working with Mike McCrary at PDS. I'm like, okay, Mike, we got to figure out how to do this. How do we permit this? And you know, it's his openness to be able to, and Michael Dobish and others, like, okay, let's put our heads together and figure out how do we make this work? And how do we create something? And you know, it's Dave Summers. And it's like, you know, he just is so supportive of what I do and my ideas and supporting local agriculture. Tom Tigan, same thing. We joke all the time that we are a very bad combination because our brains go everywhere.
yeah,
You know,
Tom's like that. Yeah. I was gonna say you two, I could see where that would be rockets going off quite a bit.
we're not good at telling the other one no. So but you know, it's that partnership within the county and the way that we all work together to support agriculture. And it's not divided, but it's taken a long time. You know, it's taken many, many years of creating a partnership, and we have that. And I think that that's a hard thing to find in a lot of places, but we are very fortunate in Snohomish County.
For sure.
I'm going to run out of time, aren't I?
Go for it here, Linda. We'll stop interrupting. Usually I have everybody
No,
hold the comment
ask
and things till the end.
questions.
And
That's
it's just, there's so much, you feel that sense of excitement for what's happening. And I think everybody wants to share early. Go
you
ahead.
guys just ask me questions, you know, please do. the farmer's market. So that's gonna, it's all one contiguous building. So that'll be at the forefront. Depending upon financing, you know, what it's gonna look like, it will at least have, you know, it's a really cool building and it'll get started. You know, how much of the interior is finished out, you know, we'll see, because we can get started with a covered farmer's market pretty easily. So we just got to see how good I am at finding funding and, you know, putting all the pieces together, but we are moving forward. Definitely moving forward. I'll just quickly cover Focus on Farming Conference. I know I've talked about that before. Believe it or not, this is our 20th year of doing Focus on Farming. I think back of when I did the first one, and I'm like, wow, how can that be my 20th conference? So I'm actually bringing back our very first keynote speaker. He's 89 years old, so he's a little hesitant, but he's Dr. John Eichard. He's an ag economist, and he's going to really cover, you know, where agriculture was, where it is today, and just really bring it all back home together. And so that'll be very exciting. Still can't believe 20 years. Transfer of development rights program, we can get into this on another time if you want to, because it's a more complicated thing for me to talk about. I have to dive into it if we do. But we have a contractor on board to kind of look at, we've already got this in code. It's already a part of Snohomish County. So we're going to dive into it when they get started here in the near future. See, what do we need to do code-wise to change it? If we need to do anything, how do we increase the demand for TDR credits? That's the downfall, is who's going to buy them. So we really need to work on that piece of it and encouraging cities to use the TDR program. And then we will be creating a bank, and that bank will be able to accept credits, and then developers can come directly to the bank and buy credits. So that will have a huge role in being able to advance that program. The next thing is policy work. And we've done quite a lot around policy this year. The number one thing being agritourism and open space taxation. This summer, I started getting a number of calls, panicked phone calls from our farmers, our agritourism farmers, that the county assessor was removing their barns from open space taxation. So if they were doing weddings in it, she was removing them from open space taxation, which those barns are used for many, many different things. They are not just a wedding barn. They are used for their agritourism activities. They are used for a lot of different things. They store things in them. They do a lot with them. And they were getting enormous bills. The largest one was $64,000 to one of our farmers. $64,000. And then they wanted to take out more and more. So I worked with the Department of Revenue quite a bit, and they really did not have good definition around this, and were really at a loss as to what to do. So we wrote with Sam Lowe, April Berg, Mark Olias. We wrote a clarifying bill, and it passed. So to write a bill and put it through and have it pass this quickly amazes me, but we did. And these farmers now no longer have to worry. Their barns are just fine and safe, and their agritourism activities can continue. Keep in mind that for Snohomish County, every one of our agritourism farms are also in legitimate commercial agricultural production. So let's take Stalker Farms, because we were talking about them. They have blueberry production. They have U-Pig blueberry fields. They have Christmas tree production. If we look at across the street to Thomas Family Farm, which is a pretty big one, they do a large amount of silage corn, silage grass. They still raise dairy heifers and they have a beef operation. You don't see that right there necessarily, but they are a large producer. Plus they're raising pumpkins, you know, they have a corn maze. All of that is agricultural production. Swans Trail Farm, another large one. They got a huge bill. They have you pick apples. They have you pick strawberries. You know, they're feeding the community. They do a large amount of hay. They do sweet corn. They actually do quite a bit of food production. So not every county is like we are, where they're actually required to be in agricultural production, not just come in and buy a wedding barn on agriculturally zoned land and do weddings. They have to be in egg production. So that one moved through really well. I'm also working on maple syrup production in Snohomish County, and we will be doing something statewide around allowing maple syrup processing for Washington State. So we are also taking the lead on that process as well. Okay, I think I covered it all, at least the big things.
And that, you know, if ever we needed to hear the upbeat, and we do these days, the upbeat part of life. This is wonderful. It is wonderful. And your enthusiasm just is, it's contagious as well. And we sure appreciate your being able to come and share with us. And I'm a maple syrup from Snohomish County. I mean, that you were
Yeah.
leaving me on that edge of wonderment. Now, tell me about that just briefly here.
Okay, I was contacted by someone who has a large tract of timber up in the mountains. They, you know, it takes a long time to grow those trees before you can harvest them, but they also had a lot of maple trees, and they have been working for quite some time on maple syrup production. And so he took us up there because Washington State will not let him be licensed as for food processing. And so he took us up there. I took the Washington State Director of Agriculture with me, Derek Sanderson, who has been, by the way, incredibly supportive of Snohomish County and our agriculture programs. I drag him into everything and he doesn't even put up a fight. He's phenomenal. We are so lucky to have him. They tap the trees and it's on a gravity system and it all flows down. So they have tubing, kind of looks like small PEX tubing. They tap each of the trees starting at the highest tree. And then they've got the main tube that goes down to the processing center. And then small tubes that come out of the trees that feed into that main tube. That main tube goes directly into a stainless steel tank. It's actually the same tank that they make for dairy milk to go into. It's a milk tank. And then from there, it can go in to be processed. The processing of syrup has no outside ingredients. There's nothing added to it. It goes directly into a vat where it is boiled down. And they boil it and boil it and boil it, and they just cook it down to nothing. It then goes directly into the bottles. That's it. There's nothing added to it at all.
So how many acres of trees do you need to make this viable to have a
As a
business?
business, well, they're not planted in a grove, you know, it's a tree here, it's a tree there.
Oh my.
So, yeah, so this is their regular timber production, but maples come up, you know, they're junk trees. They just grow where they grow. And so he's just taking advantage of it. And there's other places in the state that are doing it too. But Washington State requires that you have potable water and a septic system or a well. He's on the top of the mountain. How are you going to drill a well? There's obviously no city water there. So, and he has a Santa can. The
A
total
collection,
amount of water,
perhaps.
huh?
Water collection, perhaps, rather than drilling down, collecting from, right?
Nope, you can't.
Up on the mountain.
Nope, they won't let you use it. The total, this is the kicker. The total amount of water that he uses in a year is 150 gallons, and it is only used as wash water. That is it. And that is what's stopping him from having a WSDA processing permit. But this is happening in other places around the state too. So we are taking the lead on some new rulemaking.
Well, I think that's a marvelous thought to have maple syrup come from our county. I think that's fabulous, especially since we're going to pay tariffs on anything Canadian. It's just nice to know we can get it locally. Linda, I have to say thank you yet again. And if you have a list of places where we could go and see some of this equipment working sometimes, just if you know it's out there on a particular time, and maybe some of us have the time to ride out there and actually see it in operation. And were those your lambs at the end that we saw, that cute picture of the little lammies that were
Yeah, yeah. I had a set of twins born this morning, so yeah, we're almost done with lambing season. I'm ready to be done. So with the ag technology, our website is almost done. And so you will eventually be able to go to focusonfarming.org and you can see it from there. There's also a page for the Food and Farming Center on there, and then there's the conference page as well. So it's not quite done. We'll get that up there shortly and it'll have videos on it. And then we will, in the near future, we'll do a press release, and we're ready to tell the world about it now. We've been kind of just quietly doing our thing over here with the ag tech and, putting our pieces in place. But I think we're ready to, throw it out there and tell everybody what we're doing.
So do you go directly to the Agricultural Atlantic, whatever it is in the magazine? Farmers International
Don't
magazine.
know what we do. Yeah, we'll do press releases and just kind of, we'll see what the comms team comes up with, what they want to do. So, but it is so fun. This is all so fun that, once again, I'm so blessed to get to do what I do and to
Yeah.
work with the people that I do. I'm very lucky.
So, well, Linda, I want to thank you. It's past an hour.
Carol has a
We
question.
spent our time there, and I see Carol's
Yeah.
been full of questions, but this is right where she, her heart is, I can tell. Go for it, Carol. Oh, she just.
I was just going to make a quick question or ask a quick question, and that was, are you going to be making a presentation at the SAC meeting next week
No.
or not? No. Okay. I wasn't sure. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries.
You don't have to hang for the rest of our meeting here. It's going to
Okay.
be a lot shorter, I think, than it usually is, but we'll see what happens. And I want to thank you again, and it's just marvelous.
Pleasure.
Every time you can come anytime and keep us inspired.
Thank you.
Please take that home with you and hold it close, because it's wonderful.
Well, anytime you guys have questions, I'm available. It's great to see you all again. But yeah, anything comes up, any questions or anything, call me, text me, email me, whatever. I'm happy to help anytime.
Thanks so
Thanks,
much.
you guys.